welcome. This is the American Marketing Association Sac Valley's podcast. For this video series, we're going to be covering subjects going from the student stage, where someone's in college, all the way up until what you should do in your first 90 days on the job. This first episode here, we're going to be talking about the pre-approach, which is essentially what you want to be doing when you're getting ready to graduate college, whether you be undergrad or graduate. Essentially what you should do right before you're getting ready to graduate, or you're in that last step of your career in college. And pretty much, let's get started from there. So Logan, I know you compiled a few ideas on what some people should do. So I want to start off with you on this one. So what are some things you think are the most important for someone to do as they're getting ready for that next step toward their career?
Yeah, absolutely. And just for a quick introduction, my name is Logan Mayville. I work at an agency called PMM in town. Look it up. And I've been in digital marketing for about the last 10 years or so, from agency to consulting to freelance to corporate in-house. So I've gotten a lot of jobs, haven't been fired yet. So I have a pretty good understanding of how to get a job. So I'll start with one point that I wrote down here. So again, this is the pre-approach, right? So this is before you start applying. This is before you start sending out resumes. So my recommendation, if you want to get a job in marketing, is build a website tonight. It doesn't matter necessarily the quality level. It doesn't necessarily matter the topic. You don't have to write about marketing. You don't have to make a blog. You could do it on a side project. You could do a portfolio site. My suggestion is go out and buy your name, loganmayville.com or yourname.com if it's available or something close, and just start building a site. The reason for this is a couple-fold. One is that if you have experience using WordPress or Wix or some sort of other site builder, that automatically makes you a slightly more valuable person than someone who does not have that, because you can fill in and jump in on tasks around their job. Two, it shows a lot of initiative, right? So you got your domain is going to cost you $15 a year. You're going to have to figure out how to host it. That costs, call it more than $50 a year. So you've made a commitment to this thing. You spent money on it. You figured out how the buttons work. It's not super simple, right? Everyone's going to have a PDF resume, but if yours has a domain with your name on it, you're going to stand out immediately. So do a side project. Write about your sports team. It doesn't really matter. The effort itself is really what you're trying to show, and the fact that you had the follow through to actually make something. So my suggestion: build a website as soon as possible. And
kind of a touch point on that. What are some things that someone could put if they're early in their career? What would you want to put on your website as you're starting to build that first step?
Yeah. So when I graduated during the recession, so it was actually kind of hard to get a job in advertising. And so what I ended up doing was I learned digital marketing self-taught because I was trying to promote myself. So my first website was a blog format. And basically what I did was I just found ads on TV and or the internet or campaigns, and I wrote my analysis of what they did in blog post format. Nothing fancy, of course, but again, it kind of stands out. I don't think any of my employers really read a huge amount of my blogs, but the idea was that I had something out there. And so that's a nice thing. Again, if they Google your name and they get your website, a LinkedIn profile, a Twitter profile with all these appropriate things, all of a sudden you stand out a lot more because you already have a personal brand going.
Fantastic. Yeah. I myself don't have a website, so I'm kind of learning tips along the way. But yeah, I think it's very important to have that and be able to brand yourself in that way, and shows that extra step to that potential employer you're gonna see. Hanedi, so kind of touching on that, what would you say is another point that you think might be something someone could do as they're getting ready to graduate, as they're going to that next step in their career?
Thanks, Matt. So I'm Hanedi. I work at Runyon Saltzman, and I'm an account coordinator. And I recently just got my first job in January, so 3 years after college graduation. So I'm very excited to finally be where I have been working so hard to be. I agree with Logan in creating a website. I kind of try to put together one of those free websites like blogspot.com, kind of experimenting with the idea and sort of like putting my brand online and kind of branding myself and taking inventory of what I've done to date. Another suggestion I have before you graduate from college is to take inventory of who your professors are, who your close classmates are, and sort of like seek like help there. It's really helpful to have somebody who sort of knows what you're going through because they're going through the same thing. So I would suggest asking people what they've done in terms of internships, if they wrote any papers that kind of revolve around the focus that you are studying, or connecting with professors because they've also been there, and they also know people in the industry, and they can connect you with people in the industry. So I think it's very important to network as soon as you're about to graduate from college, and before if you can, because it is very, very important to have a circle of people around you, and it will help you get places in your career. I've learned that sort of the hard way because sort of applying to jobs as an unknown person, I'm sort of kind of looked over, I've noticed. So as soon as I knew someone in my company, I was automatically sort of invited in for the interview process. My qualifications also resonated with the job, of course, but I noticed it was important to have someone that I was in contact with there. So very important.
Yeah, I think that kind of touches on a point that myself and Logan can also resonate with: networking. Probably should have done that at the beginning, but my name's Matt, and I was president of the American Marketing Association at Sacramento State for some time. So I do think that networking piece is huge, and currently now working at Workflow Solutions. We're a staffing company based out of the Bay Area, but we also have networking in Sacramento, so a little bit all over. But yeah, I gotta agree that networking piece is key. Variety of jobs, if you have that networking piece, you're gonna have that extra advantage over someone who may not. It may just be a resume in front of a hiring manager, your voice, a face, something someone's already familiar with, and already kind of building that trust factor, which is huge, I think, before you're starting to apply even.
Yeah, that's really important.
But yeah, let's see here. So kind of also another point I wanted to bring up, it very much goes in tandem with that networking piece, but while you're in college, while you're getting ready to, apply for these types of positions, you definitely want to get in touch with local organizations, whether it be collegiate organizations or even, places like AMASV. A great network of a wealth of information as well. So if you're not already doing this, it's a must-have. Look up your local organization and that is affiliated with the role you want to be in, and start networking there. It's a must-have, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah. So Logan, other than obviously the networking piece and the building a website, what else would you say someone should do to make that next step?
Yeah.
What would be?
So this is one of my favorite ones. This is useful in life, but especially useful in the job hunt. And that's to develop a positioning statement for each place that you're applying. So what do I mean by positioning statement? Well, let's think about it from the employer standpoint. They know what you want. You want a job, right? Because you're poor. If you're like me, you were graduating college and you're poor. You never made more than $15 an hour. Maybe you didn't have health insurance for a couple of years like me. Okay. So the job is going to give you a salary. It's going to maybe give you benefits if you're lucky. And more than that, it's going to give you a sense of purpose as you become a part of the workforce. So the employers know what they're giving you. The question is, what are you going to give them, right? So every single applicant is going to say they're hardworking, they're a quick learner, blah, blah, blah. They'll stay late. Those are all just sort of, euphemisms for I'm really hungry for this job. And they kind of bounce off people who actually know, because they know where you're coming from. So what does resonate with people is if you can answer this question. They know you want a job. Why do you want a job here? So if you know the answer to that, If you can say, I want a job here at this agency or this company because X, Y, and Z, it shows that you've done your research about the company. It shows that you are passionate about their same mission, and that you are basically putting their needs ahead of yours, right? Because people are going to come to these job interviews very hungry for money, for status, for, purpose, a career, things like that. If you show them that I'm considering your needs first, that's going to go a long way in kind of the type of employee that you're going to be, and it gives them kind of a vision of what you'll work like. So develop a positioning statement individually for each place that you're going to apply.
Absolutely. I think you can't really have a cookie cutter approach to it. You have to kind of tailor everything to who you're going to be applying for. And even if I always have this feeling where it's, I've applied to 5 positions. I feel like if I really like one position over the others, I'm gonna feel like I'm quote unquote cheating on that other position. I'm like really want that one marketing coordinator position or marketing management position at X company, but I'm like, oh, but these other ones, they're good as well. But I really, and you gotta kind of understand that you're playing the field and you're able to market yourself in different ways, and you have to do that. It's not always gonna, you might not always get that dream job right off the start, but you do have to make sure you're being genuine and also not making it cookie cutter. You can't do it. But yeah, kind of touching on another topic, and I think this is a huge one. It kind of goes along with building a website in and of itself. Learn the tools, maybe some coding as well. Depending on the role you want to go into, learn the tools of your trade prior to getting the position or prior to even, graduating. Take an extra class just because you have time. And a lot of students, I know, you might think, I don't have the time, I'm constantly doing things. But trust me, when you get a job and you get into the career, that time you realize you didn't have, it becomes very real. Weeks go by like hours, and it does happen for most of us, I would like to say. But, whether it's going and learning how to code an entire website, like maybe don't use Squarespace, maybe build a Wix website and take a class on how to customize a fully customizable site. Or you can go with the Squarespace site, totally fine as well. But just have something extra that you're bringing in your toolkit. I started learning Adobe Audition and Adobe Premiere while I was going to school. And I was in marketing. I wasn't going to become a video editor, but having video editing in the back of my pocket, while most others may not have it or may not have, Premiere level, it's just something else I can use while I'm, getting ready to apply to jobs and getting to that next stage. And it also allows me to differentiate my marketing. It won't pigeonhole me. Is that the right word? But it won't stick me in one location where I would want to work. So, but yeah, what are some experiences, Logan, and Hanedi as well? What are some tools of your trade that you don't necessarily use all the time, but you and you're building on top of your own toolkit? You doing anything like that?
You take that one, Hanedi.
Well, I would say that something that I'm using as sort of like a tool is Excel, which is something I never thought would be something that I could use to my advantage. There's just so much that goes into Excel, and my job requires me to use it a lot. So that's not something I really thought about. So it's kind of important to sort of Google like these tools and how they can be used. When I was looking for a job, I was doing a lot of Googling and seeing what jobs are asking for and things like that. But yeah, so just things that kind of come out of nowhere, just like Matt said, that you wouldn't really see yourself using a lot. It could end up being something that gives you an advantage in your job.
And to touch right on that, look at jobs where you want to work and you feel like you might be underqualified, and look at what they're asking, what tools they ask their individuals in this role to have. knowledge in, and just go out and look at, I wouldn't say go buy the $1,000 like master class on how to do that, how to use that tool, but go out and learn, even with YouTube videos, go out and kind of start building a list of all these tools. Like they need someone experienced with Adobe Illustrator, or a certain CRM, which might be a little bit more difficult to find training on. But just start building a list of these tools you may not be experienced in or as experienced as they would like, and just start doing side projects. The creative tools are much easier to do that in, like Photoshop, Canva, which is free, all these tools, and just start learning them now while you have the time ahead of you prior to applying. Logan?
To add on to that, Matt, you just kind of sparked something here. Go ahead. There are free certifications available for training in some of these tools that you can attain. And again, that's kind of nice. So it looks really good on your resume. It kind of stands out, So the couple that I would recommend, these are free, and you can do them in a weekend if you really wanted to. So Google Analytics has a free test. Google AdWords has a free certification. And then HubSpot, which is a CRM and marketing platform, has a huge amount of certifications, and you can actually learn quite a bit about digital marketing, inbound marketing as you're going along with that. And again, that's going to help stand out on your resume when you say certifications and you've got 6 bullet points under there, and the other guy is, doing a Word document talking about his barista experience in college. Nothing wrong with that, of course, but again, as a hiring manager, what looks better? So,
Hanedi, do you have anything else you'd like to add onto that?
Yeah, I have 2 of them. Well, one involves volunteering, but the other one is making a list of your achievements and like going into detail about what you've done.
Yeah.
And like sort of interviewing skills there, because I had a really hard time with that for like so long.
Yeah. So
should I talk about that?
Tell me about your experience with that.
Okay. So something else that I really, really recommend that you do is to sort of write down like all of your achievements to date, the achievements that you're most proud of. And that includes like school assignments too. I've heard sometimes that people do like school assignments where they have to do a lot of research and sort of come up with an analysis for their project relating to the topic at hand. And sometimes that can be really beneficial in presenting that to your interviewer, or not really presenting it, but just talking about it, because you can bring some skills to the table there, like research or sort of your written skills or your communication skills. But what I've done is I've sort of made a list of the hardest times that I've had in jobs and how I resolved the issue, because I know that interviewers always ask that. I talked about what I was most proud of that I've done, because interviewers always talk about that too. And then just sort of achievements and like milestones that I made in my career path so far. And I feel like that was really beneficial to me, because I was preparing for the interview at hand, even if there was no interview. So I knew that if they asked me, I'd be able to tell them, because I've taken the time to write it down and think out all the details before I tell them. And so then I can go into depth, and I'm not kind of really like leaving them on the surface. Like they know what I've done and they know what I'm talking about. So I think that really would give you an advantage in an interview.
I think that's a really super underrated tip. I think also that can give you a lot of confidence when you look back and say, wow, I actually did all this, because you tend to forget. So yeah, jot them down, some bullet points. That's a really good tip.
And even like another touch point on that, if you're in a job currently, constantly updating that resume, or even updating your LinkedIn profile with bullet points and then just going back and updating from there. Either way works. LinkedIn will already, be your marketing tool, but, just creating a running list of things you've accomplished as you're accomplishing them. Don't wait until you're waiting to look for a job to then go update your resume, because then you're gonna find yourself being very stressed out when you're doing that. When you complete something, when you accomplish something at your job, or if you're, just coming fresh out of college, make sure you're highlighting these items in your resume as they're happening actively. Don't wait until you have to apply to a job and you're like, oh, I'm really stressed about applying to jobs, and I'm also having to update my resume and my LinkedIn and all this. Update as you go and create these lists as you go. And I think if you do that, you'll find much more success in all these jobs you're applying to, and your confidence level will be boosted, and you won't have all these imposter syndrome moments you may have when you're applying to jobs you think you might be underqualified for, because you're not. You might be slightly underqualified, but it'll take some of that stress away. And I think that's a huge piece.
Yeah, it really goes back to Logan's point where he talked about like why you really want the job. Employers want to know that, and also you want to know that. Like you want to know the reason why they're asking what they're asking. Like I never understood why employers asked questions like, tell me about your greatest weakness. I never considered that before. But after a few interviews and sort of not really, well, I wasn't very good at interviewing. And so I wanted to improve. And so I just considered the most unique questions I've heard. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to build upon this. And so next time I'm going to succeed. And even if I didn't, it brought me to where I am today. And yeah, so it really worked out in my favor, all the hard work, you know. So it can be discouraging not knowing where you're going, but as long as you continue to build your skills and have confidence in yourself, just like Matt said, you're going to get there eventually.
Logan, did you have anything else to add?
No, I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean, oh, no, so I actually have one more point that's kind of separate. And this is a biggie. I think this is something that most people don't know, especially when you're looking for your first job. But the easiest way to get hired at a company is if you know somebody who already works there, okay? So why is that? Well, the person who's gonna hire you, your manager, they're gonna run through, probably more than 10 interviews, right? And an interview is not you as a whole person. It's not you 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, okay, for 50 weeks a year. It is your best foot forward. They can't get to know you in that time, right? So they don't know who they're hiring really, right? So if they can go to someone and say, hey, do you know this guy? Is he weird? Is he cool? Is he normal? Like, you got to understand, these people who are going to work with you every day, they're going to see you more than they see their kids. A big part of why they're going to hire you is if they can stand to be around you and they think you're a hard worker and you're not, weird or lazy or anything like that. So if you can get an attaboy or attagirl from someone who already works there, that's your number one way in. But odds are you probably don't have that currently. So my third tip is to make friends with somebody who works where you want to work. So make friends, right? That's kind of a weird way to put that. But I guess I'll just share a story of how I did this. This is how I got my first job, right? So I graduated from Chico State, and we had a woman come in and speak about her job at RSE, actually, back when it was in the glass building on Capitol Mall. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to work in advertising. She worked in advertising. So what did I do? I looked her up right after she spoke. I went and I emailed her and I said, hey, I'd really love to know more about what you do. I'm just so curious. This is the industry I want to be in. She invited me down. I got to go into the office. She introduced me to the hiring manager. All of a sudden I said, hey, so what do you do? Like when you're not working, oh, well, I volunteer for this club. Do you have any openings? So I volunteered for the same club that she has. I offered to buy her a drink. That was actually kind of awkward because she wasn't drinking. So we met at a bar and I drank and she didn't, and I didn't buy her anything. So the effort was there. Point being, I got the job. She told everyone that they should hire me because she had taken the time to get to know me. And she had also seen that I volunteered for the same organization that she had. And so that is a great way in. It's not easy, of course. It's going to be a little awkward. You have to get out on the street and actually hustle and meet someone, shake their hand, or find out what they're interested in. If you're allowed to shake hands, I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. But point being is that if you think that's too hard, I've seen what young people do online, and their research skills on Instagram and Tinder and whatever are spot on. They can find someone if they really want to. So you just need to apply that same level of internet research to make friends with somebody. Now, again, sounds creepy. It's not. It's everyone understands. It's not. You can be very transparent in your wants, right? They know what you want. They're not stupid. They're 10 years ahead of where you are. They've been you. They want to help, but just be transparent about what you want. Hey, I really like this company. I think this would be a great start for me. How do I get in there? And then you can talk to people like that, because people like me I want to help people. What I don't want is someone to waste my time. So if someone just tells me what they want, I will bend over backwards and try to help you and do what I can. But you have to make the effort. You have to do your research, and you have to present me with sort of a clear reason why I can recommend you. So if I don't know you at all, I'm not going to recommend you. So you volunteer at the same organizations I do. You tell me your understanding of the marketplace or whatever. That goes a long way in becoming friends. As I said, it's not really friends, more like acquaintance. So get out there, meet someone who works where you want to work. You'd be surprised at how much that can help you get the job.
Absolutely.
I agree with Logan. Ironically, COVID helped me jumpstart my career because I didn't have to meet anyone in person. So I just constantly invited people to informational interviews. And I was just like, I'm interested in what you do and who you are. Please talk to me. And most of the time people were open to it. I never got a no. And so I had like probably 10 to like 15, 20 informational interviews over the span of like 11 months. Yeah. And so, I got really lucky there that I never had to leave my house. But yeah, I agree. The more people that you meet, like you get your name out there, people start to know who you are. Especially in the community, I noticed that everybody on LinkedIn is connected. Like everybody knows everybody. And so that was really surprising for me when I started making connections. Like you have 10 mutual connections. I was surprised that all these people knew each other, but it's really important because then they can refer you to somebody that they know. Absolutely. And then you can get a job that way.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like just getting these foot in the doors, even the coffee chat could be the preliminary to getting an interview that would go even more smoothly because you know someone. And if the theme wasn't clear, networking, it should be by the end of this video. Just you have to do it, and it makes everything so much easier down the line if you prepare and get ready, and essentially things to do prior to applying to these jobs you want.
Going on this point about networking with someone, my DMs are open. If you're serious about getting a job in Sacramento, look me up. My name is Logan Mayville. I work at Post-Spotter Marketing. If you can't find me, that's not a good sign for working in digital marketing. But if you're serious about working here, I know a lot of people. I can help. I can point you in the right direction. DMs are open, but you got to make that first step. So that was supposed to be helpful advice. It came off a little harsh, but looking forward to all my new Twitter followers.
Absolutely. And
I'm sorry, I want to say that if you're on your way out of college, congratulations, and just know that the world is big and there's always going to be opportunity for you. Sometimes it may seem like there's not, but trust me, there is. You reach out to the right people, like myself, Matt, or Logan, and that invitation also stands for me. Please look me up on LinkedIn. My name is Hanedi, and I work at Runyon Saltzman. You can find me by searching Runyon Saltzman on LinkedIn and then looking up people. There's a people tab, so you can find me there.
Absolutely. And you can connect with me online as well at Matt Lucas on LinkedIn. It's a very common name, but I work for Workflow Solutions. So and talking more about AMASV. If you are interested in joining us, we have a variety of different events that we do digitally right now, and we were doing events all the time when we were in person. So free webinars and things in that nature, and then a wealth of other types of events too. Networking, if you are interested, you can look us up at amasv.org. Join us, send us an email if you're interested in being part of our organization. We would love to have you. It's a great net worth of information, tools you can learn, experience you can gain before you get that job as well. So
great way to meet people who work where you want to work too.
Exactly. So again, thank you so much for joining us, evening, morning, whenever you're listening. But we look forward to talking to you in the next episode. Thank you so much.